Chapter 4. A Change in Perspective. The founder of the Thorne lineage in the Sunstone Empire was a loyal follower of the Emperor, and was rewarded with the title of Great General of the Royal Guard. With that, he rose to a position of prominence. In the generations that followed, all of his descendants joined the military, making the family a renowned house of generals. However, life rarely goes as planned. The ancestral Lord Thorne was a man of war, constantly fighting on the four frontiers. After only a few years as a lord, he died from old wounds and illness. His descendants were left with little guidance, and their military careers were uninspired. Had it not been for the help of a few old comrades, the Thorne family would have lost its standing in just 3 generations. But with misfortune comes opportunity. With their family in decline, the descendants focused on their education and slowly regained their footing, and the family began to flourish once more. This was especially true with the 7th generation heir, Lord Anson Thorne. Lord Anson Thorne was a man of both military and literary talent. At the young age of 20, he was appointed magistrate of Azurfield County. He was a quiet, steady, and honest leader, and his prefecture flourished under his rule. He even led a small militia to quell a rebellion of the Wunluo people. News of his success as a House of Generals descendant reached the Emperor, who summoned him and gave him an important position. Lord Anson Thorne was put in charge of defending the borders and was commended by the Emperor as having the courage and spirit of the ancient general Zhou Yafu. In the first year of the era of the 8 governors, the court combined several prefectures to create 8 military governorships to secure the borders and to fight the remnants of the Western Sunstone dynasty. The Emperor personally bestowed upon Lord Anson Thorne an imperial pennant, and made him Grand Marshal of the capital of the West and military governor of the Swordfall Marches. This granted him supreme military authority over the region, and the right to display the 6 banners in front of his mansion. Lord Anson Thorne was the Grand Marshal of the Swordfall Marches for over a decade, and his reputation and power were immense. The young ladies of the Thorne family had little understanding of Lord Anson Thorne's power and influence, but his daughter, Lady Elara Thorne, was proof enough of her father's power. Because Lord Anson Thorne was worried that the long journey would be too difficult for his children, Lady Elara and her brother, Lord Cale Thorne, didn't return to visit their family until 5 years after they left for the Swordfall Marches. The winter of that year was filled with heavy snow, and the girls huddled under the eaves of the manor, watching as a luxurious, fragrant carriage arrived. From it emerged a young girl who looked like a fairy. Lord Anson Thorne's wife, Lady Rowan, was a famous beauty from Rivergate Prefecture. In his youth, Lord Anson Thorne was a man focused on his career and not on marriage. But while passing through Rivergate Prefecture, he saw a carriage. The wind blew up the curtain, revealing a beautiful young girl looking out the window. This fleeting glimpse was enough for Lord Anson Thorne to change his course, track her down, and ask for her hand in marriage. The Rowan family were merchants, and the marriage was not what Patriarch Thorne and his wife had wanted. But Lord Anson Thorne was a strong-willed man, and they could do nothing to stop him. The couple's marriage was a loving and harmonious one, and Lord Anson Thorne doted on his wife. Unfortunately, Lady Rowan was a frail woman. She gave birth to Lady Elara, but her luck didn't hold. 3 years later, while giving birth to Lord Cale Thorne, she died from complications. Lord Anson Thorne sought out the best doctors but could do nothing to save her. By this time, Lord Anson Thorne's reputation was growing. On the day of his wife's funeral, the Rowan family brought 7 or 8 beautiful young women. Lady Rowan had been a famous beauty, and the women of her family were all attractive. But Lord Anson Thorne, a man who had loved a beautiful woman, paid them no mind. A year later, when the Rowan family proposed that Lady Rowan's sister should become his new wife, he not only rejected their offer, but he forbade the family from visiting the manor. In their fury, House Rowan cut off all contact with House Thorne. Lord Anson Thorne returned to the Swordfall Marches with 4-year-old Lady Elara and 1-year-old Lord Cale Thorne. He never remarried. This devotion was something many women envied. Lady Elara resembled her mother, and even as a child, she was beautiful like a fairy. But to the other young girls, the word fairy did not just mean her beauty. It also meant her lifestyle. In the month she stayed at the manor, Lady Elara's food, clothes, and toys, all of them delicate, luxurious, and rare, surprised them every day. The other 7- and 8-year-old girls, not knowing any better, would go crying to their parents for the same things, but their parents, who had always indulged them, refused to give in. "She is the daughter of the eldest master. She is not like us," they would scold. It was then that they understood the power of the eldest son, who the elders of the family always spoke of so proudly. The girls saw Lady Elara a few more times when she returned for the funerals of Patriarch Thorne and during holidays. As they grew older, they did not become indifferent to her, as the things she used grew more and more refined. This awe reached its peak the previous year when she returned, bringing an entire house from the capital of the West with her. However, in the spring of this year, Lord Anson Thorne died. At the beginning of the year, a rebellion broke out among the southwestern barbarians. Lord Anson Thorne led his troops to quell the rebellion, but was struck by a poisoned arrow from a rebellious assassin pretending to be dead while inspecting the battlefield. Despite having a renowned physician at his side, nothing could be done to save him. The Swordfall Marches was thrown into chaos, as was the Thorne family in Riverbend Hold. Lord Lyman Thorne took Lady Elara and Lord Cale Thorne to the Swordfall Marches. A few months later, Lord Lyman Thorne and Lord Cale Thorne stayed behind to sort things out, and Lady Elara was sent back home. This time, too, she arrived in a fragrant, luxurious carriage, and she was still beautifully dressed. But her clothes could not hide the sorrow in her eyes. After a short stay at the manor, she set off for Valoria. She was getting married. A fairy also had to get married, so she was just like them after all. "Whether she is like us or not has nothing to do with her getting married," Lady Elara said, rolling her eyes and letting her dangling legs swing. But Lady Elara was not marrying just anyone. Lord Corvin Blackwood, the sixth elder of House Blackwood, is the military governor of the Longyear region, just like our first uncle, Lady Gwyn said. "How can a military governor of the Longyear region be the same as first uncle?" Lady Elara replied, shaking her head. Besides, it was first uncle who appointed Lord Corvin Blackwood to that position. Lady Gwyn knew this was true. She didn't know why a Grand Marshal could appoint other military governors, but she knew it meant her first uncle was more powerful than anyone else. "But first uncle is dead," she said. "What good was power if the person wielding it was dead?" Lady Elara stopped swinging her legs and didn't say anything. "First uncle is no longer here," Lady Gwyn continued. "I don't understand these things, but I know that House Thorne and the Swordfall Marches are both in a precarious position. Cale is even younger than her, but he has stayed behind to help. I don't understand why she's making a scene." Lady Thea thought this made perfect sense. She nodded. "After first uncle passed away, my mother told me to be a good girl and do what I'm told. So I did." Lady Elara glanced at them. "She's only 13. It's not easy for a girl of her age to get married and go to a place as far away as Valoria." Lady Gwyn stood up. "What's so difficult about it? I'm 13 too, and if I were to marry a man from House Blackwood, I would do it in a heartbeat." Lady Thea's eyes widened, and for the first time, she did not know whether to nod or shake her head. Lady Elara looked at her and laughed, shaking her head. "That's why I said you're not like the young mistress." To those who had never seen the world, a marriage to House Blackwood was a good match. But for those who once stood on a cloud, it was not even worth a look. Of course, she had fallen from the clouds now. While the adults had their suspicions and the children had theirs, the person at the center of the mystery remained silent. Lady Elara stayed in her room, refusing to see her family, her elders, or the doctor. The family did not dare to force her, so they waited. 10 days later, Lady Elara's door opened. Lord Cale Thorne had returned.